Okay, I'd like to call the Public Safety Committee meeting to order, and I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Legislator Joe Caracappa.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to ask you to stand for a moment of silence for the men and women that are fighting overseas and have lost their lives and who have come back disabled. Thank you very much. Okay, I have no speakers, so we'll get right to the public portion. I have a couple of cards here. I'd like to ask Rabbi Stephen Moss to come forward for 3 minutes.
Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning. The Suffolk County Human Rights Commission and the Suffolk County's Anti-Bias Task Force feel compelled to express the following to you: our serious concerns about the escalating hostility that is manifest in public discourse as well as in recently proposed legislation towards people living in Suffolk County who are living in the U.S. illegally. While we acknowledge the necessity to address issues and implications related to changes in the county's demographics, we are alarmed at the increasingly inflammatory tenor that is both implicit and explicit in such discussions by our county's leadership. It is well established that when a community's leadership seems to target any defined group within that community as the cause of others' distress, it often provokes aggressive actions outside the bounds of the law by those who are seeking a scapegoat towards whom they can vent their frustrations and anger. As you know, these actions can range from individually or group-initiated harassment to violence, even terrible violence. We know full well that it is not your intention to incite or even condone bigoted reactionary actions towards any human being regardless of their legal status. However, we must urge you to ensure that our great county's and country's principles regarding human dignity and human rights be foremost in public discussions and public policy efforts to address issues and concerns related to immigration. We look forward to continuing dialogue in an effort to seek constructive and positive resolutions. Resolution 1022 is just so divisive for our Suffolk community. It simply ignites the worst of feelings in people as evidenced by legislator Ms. Dahl's unintentional but unfortunate comments made the other day. It is a negative and simplistic and piecemeal way of dealing with a very difficult and complex problem. I therefore, as chair of the Human Rights Commission and co-chair of the Anti-Bias Task Force, call upon this committee to prevent this legislation from going further and begin the task, arduous as it is, to create legislation dealing with the day laborer and immigrant issue that will, as President Bush said yesterday, enable us to respect the law and at the same time respect humanity. This law fails to do this. If I were to respond to Legislator Caracappa's question of the other day, I certainly would agree that I would be most upset by day laborers in front of my home, congregating there for jobs. No question of this. But my response would be to work with others in the community to create a place, a safe place, where those who wish to obtain work in this county can come together and offer that work to those in need of such labor. This has been accomplished in many other communities throughout the country, as well as in the New York metropolitan area. Why can't we do the same here in Suffolk? Thank you.
Thank you very much. James Claffey.
Yes, good morning. James Claffey. I'm a program officer at the Long Island Community Foundation. We're a public charity that provides funding for nonprofits across the island in many different kinds of programs. I'm here to speak against Resolution 1022. I would agree with everything Rabbi Moss just had to say, but add the following. It's uplifting, at least for me. It's somewhat gives me some optimism to see that increasingly people are beginning to talk about real solutions instead of these ill-advised proposals like 1022, the latest in a series of ill-advised initiatives here in Suffolk County that do nothing really to address the problem. They may be helpful politically for some people, but they do nothing really to address the problem. And I think the press coverage and the opinion expressed by the great majority of the public at the last hearing is proof of that. But what gives me some optimism in the middle of this debate is that at least people are beginning to talk again now about worker centers that will be open to all unemployed people, places that could be helpful to all the unemployed in their search for jobs. And hopefully we can work on that. That at least is a real solution that has provided some relief for the day labor issue in different parts across the country. Now, I just want to say one thing, though. I'm in a position, because of my work in philanthropy, to say this. It's very important to know that there will be no philanthropic dollars from the private sector unless these centers are, Joe, hold on, I'll explain it, Joe, are a public and private partnership. It's a public issue, and the public sector must be involved. There can be private funding as long as the public sector, at the very least, provides support. What we fear is that a center can be organized, and as soon as the strident minority that never is in favor of any of these real solutions will speak up, we're afraid that then public officials will head for cover and leave us out there alone. So there must be a public and private partnership. And if we can forge that, and there's no reason why we should not be able to, then indeed these worker centers can be a partial, at least, solution to the problems that are before us in this area. So I'm here to remind all of us that this is a workable solution. It's worked in other places. There's no reason why it would not work in Suffolk County, but it must be a public and private partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Charles Zarilli?
Good morning, gentlemen of the legislative body. My name is Charles Early, and I'm a homeowner residing in Farmingville. I am here today to request approval of 1022, obstruction of county roads. This bill has been introduced as a safety issue only. My district has suffered hundreds of accidents, auto, pedestrian, and bicycle. This large amount of accidents, in addition to what we would normally encounter, is overwhelming for our residents. We are in jeopardy every day if we drive, walk, or other. This bill would substantially reduce people being killed on our roadways. All these accidents have been brought about by the large congregations and soliciting. I wish to point out that I do not belong to any political hate group. I am here representing myself and many of my neighbors. Many families in my district work 2 or 3 jobs, and besides raising families, cannot afford the time off to express their support. The Latino advocates for vocations such as lawyers, reverends, civil liberty advocates, organizations can easily attend these meetings. They take any opportunity on any issue to twist it into a racial political battle. This immigrant problem is a separate issue that hopefully in my remaining years will be addressed lawfully. We always hear about compassion for the laborers. What happened to the rights and compassion of the hard-working families who pay taxes and have created a quality of life they wish to protect? With spring and summer, the huge increase of congregations and soliciting will impact every district and cause deaths on our roadways, without doubt. Could we have saved lives with this type of legislation? Let your conscience guide you. This would not affect labor protests since they rarely occur, and if carried out lawfully, would not be affected. Our problem is occurrences happening 7 days per week yearly. As our elected legislators representing your constituents, I submit that if a true polling were made, it would indicate very strong support by the residents. I hope as an intelligent body, we will do the right thing by not being misled in approving this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Cesar Malagra?
morning. My name is Cesar Malaga, Hispanic American Association. We agree with the first two previous speakers concerning that there is a solution to the problem that we have here in Suffolk County. We know that you heard that this bill is anti-Latino. It's also anti-immigrant. The only people standing looking for work are Latinos. To indicate that it's to prevent accidents at the place where these people congregate. These people do not interfere with the flow of traffic, nor did they cause any traffic accidents. There is no need for Bill IR 1022. There are a number of existing laws that focus on traffic safety. We should not pass this bill because some of the people do not want Latinos here in Suffolk County. Immigration is a problem of the federal government, not the county. Many of you said they should not be here illegally, that they broke the laws of the United States. I have mentioned to you many times at this meeting room that it takes from 12, 15 or more years to get an immigrant's visa to come legally to the United States. You cannot wait that long if there is a need to take care of your family. All these people are here because they need work to take care of their families. They have to go to places where there is work available so they can work hard, get paid, so they can take care of their families back home. No one wants to leave their families, risk their life to go to another country where some residents don't want you there. Remember that all of us, including you, are immigrants or descendants of immigrants. You should also remember that the ancestors of Mexicans and Central Americans were natives of what we call now the United States of America. All the different groups of immigrants that come to this country for a better life have problems with some people already here. I think all of you remember Nina and many other problems that the new immigrants faced. Many of you said my parents and grandparents come here legally from Europe. Well, they did not have to wait for a visa, but they didn't have to ask for a visa. They got into a ship bound to New York. They were allowed to enter this country if they were not sick. And here you are, the children or grandchildren of an immigrant. There is no welfare in Latin America, so if you have a family, you have to find work to take care of them. I'm sure that some of you go to a house of worship. Well, this is the season to reflect for Latinos who are here to work and take care of their families. We need to help them. So there was a saying for centuries that you have to go to places where you can find work so that you can take care of your family. Our nationalist people, those whose only crime is to find work to take care of their families. And this anti-Latino immigration bill, IR 1022, should die in this committee. Why waste Suffolk County taxpayers' money? We need Latino immigrants. They are hard-working people. These Latinos are part of the economy of Suffolk County and our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.